Bien, merci Rachid pour cette invitation qui m'honore. Merci à vous d'être là aujourd'hui. So I will give my talk in English because Rachid asked us to give our talks in English. But I will be happy to take the questions in French. So today I would like to convince you that blockchains are a challenge for distributed computing. And actually, blockchains have been introduced in the last lecture of Rachid, given by Rachid here, a few weeks ago. And Rachid presented at that time the moment zero in blockchain systems, which is Bitcoin, introduced by Nakamoto. Well, I will not resume the talk of Rachid. I will just would like to recall you the story that Rachid told that time. So he said that actually blockchain tries to mimic what the carpet seller in Marrakesh is doing with his selling book. So he's selling and he writes in his book the transaction. And well, Marrakesh is a small town, and this seller, Ali, has to preserve his, probity with respect to the people that know him. So he will not fake the selling book. Well, this is the case for the blockchain. So blockchains would like to mimic this behavior of Ali in his small town by doing this in a distributed way and by ensuring that in this distributed way, we can preserve the security of the information that are written on the blockchain, the availability of this information, and also to preserve the privacy of the people that trust the blockchain. Where these are the features that one would like to have from a blockchain. Well, in a blockchain nowadays, there are a lot of players. So there are people that issue transactions. There are the clients of blockchain, those that trade, those that sell, those that buy. There are also people that actually maintain the blockchain, which are the validators or bakers of the blockchain, those that work in order to give a common view to the clients on the transactions that have been issued in the system. Well, this small world introduces a lot of challenges. And I will talk today about only a few of them, but there are many, many, many challenges. And what we have to understand that since the moment zero with the Bitcoin blockchain, there are thousands of blockchains that appeared on the market, and each blockchain says that it is better than the previous one. So now it's our duty as scientists to come with truth, because there are a lot of fake literature that is called white paper or semi-academic paper that tells a lot of fake stories about the availability, about the consistency of blockchains. So what are the challenges that I'd like to bring to your attention today? So first of all, there are challenges in modeling the interactions in blockchains. There are challenges in modeling the behaviors and the quality of services. There are challenges in optimizing blockchains. And there are challenges in ensuring the interoperability blockchains. So I will try to extend a little bit each one of the items, these items, and I think that there are many other items that would have been interesting to be discussed today, but unfortunately I don't have the time to introduce all of them. So let's talk about interaction models. And the key issue in blockchain is the time and the causality of the operations. So traditionally in distributed systems, interactions have been modeled as graphs. So people or machines that are part of the system are the nodes of the graph, and links, the interactions between people or between machines are modeled as edges in the graph. Well, graphs for the moment do not encapsulate neither the time nor the causality. Other models that have been presented here are the population protocols. So Carol Delport gave a lecture on this topic. Jana Borman today presented the challenges in this interesting topic. But again, population protocols, the models that have been designed for population protocols do not encapsulate neither the time nor the causality. Another model that has been studied and is studied today in distributed system is time-varying graph that was specifically designed for dynamic systems. And I will cite here only one work, the one that has been done by Arnaud Casté, Paola Flocchini, Nicola Santoro, and Quattrocionti. Sorry for the pronunciation. And actually, what they are trying to say in this work is that the dynamic behavior of system can be expressed as a graph that changes over the time. The nodes can change, the links can change. So, well, let's say that time can be modeled by a time-varying graph. But again, the causality is not here. So the causality, capturing the causality and the time is an important issue that we don't know how to address for the moment. And I invite you to eventually listen again the talk of Gerard Berry that says that causality is a rocket science, contrary to what Mark told us today, is really a rocket science. People that are doing embedded system are working for a long time on capturing the causality of the events in this kind of systems. Well, another topic that is a challenge in blockchain system is modeling behaviors. Well, traditionally in distributed systems, we work with machines, machines that execute programs, machines that communicate via messages or shared memory. But in blockchain system, behind machines, there are people that are rational, that they have own objective function. So I will tell you a story. So this morning we meet with Valerie, and she told me, oh, you'll talk about Byzantine consensus. And I said, no, I will not talk because you are supposed to talk about it. So none of us will talk about Byzantine consensus. So this is a perfect rational decision that we took because we didn't cooperate. And this is the case in blockchain systems. So I recall you one of the players of the blockchain, which is the baker, the one that helps in constructing the blockchain. The baker has to perform the verification of the blockchain, has to bake new atoms to be added to the blockchain, has to participate to the agreement, so has to communicate to the others. All this operation costs money and time. So a baker may decide to not do it, because anyway, there are others that will do it, like me today. So I decided to not talk about consensus because I know that I suppose that others will do it. And the end of the story is that you will not have a talk about Byzantine consensus, at least this morning. Well, studying behaviors in blockchain system can be done using game theory. And one of my students, Hiakole, who is in the room today, studies hardly this problem in collaboration with economists that do not understand our models, that do not understand that, okay, in the system maybe there may be people that, not people, but machines that have an erratic behavior, a Byzantine behavior. And for an economist, the Byzantine behavior does not exist. I mean, for them, why someone would harm a system if it has no gain on that? Why spend money and time on doing that? So finding the equilibrium between in a game where we have malicious people, Byzantine people, people that do strange things, and people that are rational or people that are altruistic is a real challenge in blockchain systems. Another challenge here is ensuring the consistency of the blockchain. And Mark Shapiro talked about different level of consistency. And I would like to tell you that one of the pioneer in France that tried to unify the consistency models using an object that is called abstract data type is Mathieu Perrin in his thesis. And I think that this is the most complete work on unifying consistency condition using this kind of object. An abstract data type basically defines what is called the behavior of a shared object. And to this behavior in a blockchain system, we have to add also what are called concurrent operations, the behavior of the system when there are concurrent operations. So in our case, the concurrent operations to the blockchain would be appending a new atom to the blockchain, reading the blockchain. So for the moment, we don't really understand well what are the different levels of consistency offered by the 1,000 blockchains that exist nowadays on the market. So just classifying these blockchains or capturing their properties and classifying them is an open issue. Well, another problem that I would like to bring to your attention is the impact of the underneath peer-to-peer overlay that is formed by the bakers when they are communicating through maintaining the consistency of the blockchain. And here I would like to mention the pioneering work of Anne-Marie Kermarek and her group in Rennes. And actually, I am surprised that all the results that have been done for, well, almost 20 years ago on peer-to-peer networks that are not even mentioned by the people that are constructing today blockchain systems. So, and the performances of the blockchains, well, depend will depend hardly on the peer-to-peer overlay that is underneath. So changing the overlay will give us other performances, better performances. So another open question in the blockchain system is optimizing the blockchain. So nowadays, the holy grail of the blockchain system is to target the Visa performances. So they want to have almost 2,000 transactions per second. Well, we're at the beginning. We are able to ensure, let's say, 4 or 5 transactions per second, or there are people that claim that they can go to 200, 300 transactions per second. One way to optimize the blockchains would be to look in what is called the lightning channels, which are structures that are used in order to increase the throughput of the transactions. What is a lightning channel? So it's a sort of bank account that is signed by 2 parties, mutually signed by 2 parties, and that allowed the 2 parties to execute transactions. And on the main blockchain, we will register only the opening of the channel and the closing of the channel. All the other transactions between the 2 parties will not be registered on the blockchain. Well, this is a very, very important problem because, well, the challenge here is how to specify this object that is mutually signed by the 2 parties. What are the guarantees that the underneath blockchain has to offer to this object in order to ensure its safety and liveness? Well, now the point is, assume that we are able to define and well specify this object, and assume now that you have a network composed of many such channels, a connected network, and assume now that instead of doing transactions directly between 2 points, A and B, I will use these channels that have already opened between the points A and B, and I will just route the transaction from a point A to a point B. Well, this is very similar with what networking people were doing in studying routing protocols in networking. So the particularity here is that we have a network that is dynamic. It's a time-varying graph, so it's a network that is dynamic, where the links change their values over the time. Each transaction that travels from a point A to a point B will have an impact to the link that is traversed by the transaction. And maybe today you'll have a talk on how to design efficient routing infrastructure on top of networks. And maybe people that work on this topic would like to address also networks that are very similar with what I presented today, lightning networks, where the graphs are dynamic and the links are also dynamic. And finally, I would like to introduce to you another problem, which is interoperability of blockchains. So each blockchain constructs around itself an ecosystem. So people that trust that blockchain, people that work for that particular blockchain. And this members of these different ecosystems would like to transact maybe one day with each other. Well, this is again an open problem, and the first in distributed systems that study this problem from a theoretical point of view is Maurice Herlihy. He presented last year a paper in POETSI called Atomic Cross-Chain Swaps. And the problem that Maurice addressed in that paper is very simple. Assume that Alice would like to buy a car from Bob. Assume that Alice is member of an ecosystem that uses Bitcoins. Assume now that Bob, that is selling the car, is member of an ecosystem that uses Ethereum, and assume now that, well, Alice can pay only with the Bitcoins and Bob accepts only Ethereum. So they both need a third party that will be able to swap the Bitcoin and to exchange the Bitcoins in Ethereums. Well, all these swaps, in order for the transaction to commit, have to take place. Or if one of the swaps does not commit, then we have to abort everything, and no money has to lose, and no one has to lose money. Well, this is a problem that is almost similar with what has been studied in distributed system, in transactional distributed systems. And people that work on transactional distributed systems are very familiar with ACID model. Well, when we try to specify this atomic cross-chain swap using the ACID properties, well, there is one of the properties that is called consistency in this set of ACID properties that cannot be exactly used as it is in defining atomic cross-chain swaps. So the challenge here is, first of all, how to specify the problem of atomic cross-chain swaps, and then once the problem is solved, how to design algorithms that will address this problem in an efficient way. Well, there is another problem that has not been addressed at all in distributed system related to this interoperability, is what is the impact of the coalitions that may be formed by the people that execute these atomic cross-chain swaps. What is the impact of this coalition on the success of the swaps? And again, this is a problem that can be addressed again using game theory, but it's not very easy. Well, I would like to conclude my talk saying that blockchains are a challenge for distributed systems, are really a real challenge for distributed systems, and not only for distributed systems. Well, I will pick one of the areas that I mentioned here, artificial intelligence, security, economy, languages and compilation, formal methods and networks. So I'll pick one of the area, artificial intelligence. And what I would like to tell you is that blockchains are a challenge for artificial intelligence, but also artificial intelligence is a challenge for blockchains. And I will give you two scenarios. First of all, assume that in few years, each one of you will have an artificial personal assistant. And your artificial personal assistant will do a lot of transaction in your name. And in case of conflict, so when you go to court, you have to, well, each one of the persons that were involved in the conflict has to tell his story. Well, a blockchain can be a ledger that will help the court to decide where is the truth. A second scenario is how the artificial intelligence could help blockchain designers. So nowadays, when there is a changement in the code of the blockchain, there is a fork, and half of the old collapses. Well, assume that we'll be able in a few years to design self-adaptive blockchains or metamorphic blockchains. And in this case, we'll need maybe tools from machine learning, distributed machine learning, that will help us to not design forkable blockchains. So this ends my talk, saying that blockchains will or is an application domain that can be at the born of a new area that is at the intersection of several computer science areas. And I'd like to advertise today a conference that will take place in May in ENS, 6 and 7 May. It is called Token Economics, that will bring together people from security, economy, and distributed systems that are interested in blockchains. So I invite you all to attend the talks. So the conference is free. Thank you for your attention.